Hey everyone at Periscope. I'm so excited to be live on Periscope. It's the first time I've ever done it and I so much believe in this platform. So thanks for joining me. I can tell you a true story here. I jumped on a plane yesterday night at 4 p.m. from New York City. It was the last plane out of the city. Basically it's shut down and all roads and all tunnels are closed right now because of the snow. So talk about luck, because I'm right now at the ABA, the American Bookseller Association's annual conference, where I'll be opening the conference tomorrow with my keynote speech on my next book, which is called Small Data. So this is
Martin,
really, yeah.
Martin, we have a surprise for you.
Yeah.
All right, stand up, you need to see it.
Okay. Oh my God.
So Martin,
I'm getting goosebumps again. This is my new book.
This is your new book. It just came off the printing press.
Thank you.
It just came off the press, brand new.
Thank you.
Isn't it great?
So excited. Look at it. That is. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
This is not staged, I have to say. I'm really getting the goosebumps, if you could see it here, right? This is my new book. Yeah. This is just coming out of the print press, is that right?
Yeah, it just came out fresh off the print. You can smell the ink over here. It smells good.
Smell. Anyway, I'll tell you more about this. And by the way, this is a commercial I'm throwing in here because I guess that's my life. But if you want to see my first opening keynote speech in the world about small data, it's a premiere, so it's before the book is out, because this will first be on the shelves across the world the 23rd of February, at least in North America, and in the UK the 5th of March, and across the world around the 10th. It will go out in 47 languages, so it's a pretty big project. But if you want to see a sneak preview, you will see that at this conference here, where this room will be full of all the booksellers, the independent booksellers in the United States, which are going to hear about this book. And by the way, I'm going to pick up random booksellers across the country, which I'm going to help to turn around their businesses using the sneaky tricks which I put into this book. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow. And by the way, what you do is you go into martinlindstrom.com/small-data, and there you can sign up to pre-order the book. Once you've done that, you'll get a password to see a live stream, or you can basically download the whole video after this live stream, because it's taking place in Denver, which is a tricky time zone, I know, for in particular Asia, Middle East, and for Europe. Anyway, you sort of took me out of control, Elizabeth. What was the first question?
Oh, wait, I guess that's important, isn't it? We have a lot of people who are super excited about you and about the book. Brandability says branding rules, and we got to agree with them, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, our first question. I am from Chile. How do you get better customer service experiences in a country with bad customer service culture?
Yeah, that's very hard. First of all, I have some good news for you. The bad service culture exists in every country, it's not just Chile. And believe me, I've been to much worse countries than Chile in terms of service. So here's what you have to do. You have to understand that 70% of your brand is due to the service experience, and 30% is only due to what I call the hardware, which is really the bells and whistles. It's the logos, it's the interior design, if you have a store, whatever it is. And this is not a number I'm just throwing out in the blue air. This really is based on 20 years of working with retailers across the world. I learned 70%. So this is interesting, because here's what you have to do. You have to make sure you create a training program which starts and is based on the core values of this brand. That means you have to build some exciting values into your brand, like excitement, or like passion, or like provocative, or courage. These things can create a foundation for the training. The training program has to go from the very beginning to the very end. And I'm going to tell you a little story about Alfred Hitchcock. Because when he created his movies back in the days, he always worked with two scripts. He had the green script and he had the blue script. The blue script is what we know today. It's the monologue, it's the dialogue, it's the props, it's all that good stuff. But the green script was really extraordinary. It's what he called the theater of mind. And this is a description, second by second, how you should feel as you're watching his movies. And he literally put that into a manuscript. So as he was producing the movies, he was basically trying to control how people should feel. You should do exactly the same in your store, if you have a chain of stores, with all those stores, where you try to figure out, how should I feel before I enter it, when I'm doing the store, and when I leave. And this is another important quote, this time from Steve Jobs. In a meeting between Steve Jobs and Bob Iger, which is the current CEO of Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger asked Steve Jobs for one single question. He said, what do you do in order to generate so much traffic into your Apple stores? Remember, the Apple store at 5th Madison Avenue is the highest rated store in the world in terms of traffic. I mean, right now they have tripled the amount of traffic than any other store, and certainly revenue than any other store in the world. So his question to Steve was, what do you do? And Steve's answer was back. Well, what would you say if the customer were listening to a voice as the voice was talking as you enter the store? If that store could talk, what would it say? And this is my message to you. If your store could talk, what would that voice be? Because that's exactly linking back to the green script of how you should feel. So this is my advice to you in Chile. Map out the emotional journey. Create training programs. And remember, it's 70% of your entire effort of building the brand.
So, y'all are blowing up Periscope right now.
Thank you.
We got hearts all over the place. I can't even see your face anymore.
Oh no.
There are hearts all over the place.
So I didn't know this, but just so you know, guys, if you're watching this right now, that the more hearts you put on the screens, the more you like this. I'm glad there's no sort of, bad signs. Is it bad signs as well when you don't like me? No?
Let's not encourage them to think of ways to do that.
The hearts, please, okay?
Now, we are getting a lot of love. We got people down here from China,
Okay.
Argentina,
Ooh.
Chile, which we just talked about,
Yeah.
Australia, the US, Russia, and we have a fun, quick question for you. How many languages do you speak?
I speak 4 languages, but I'm cheating a little bit here right now because some of the languages are very close to each other. But I do speak another language called Danish, which comes out of Denmark. That's the reason I have this stupid accent, which I can't get rid of. Believe me, I've been working on that. I also speak German. I, in fact, just got through my German license right now, so I'm approved to live in Switzerland because I partly live in Switzerland. And I also speak Swedish because my last name is Swedish, and I speak a little bit of English, and then I speak a little bit of French as well. So that's sort of what I speak.
Yeah, just a little bit of English? Not much?
A little bit.
Just a little? Okay, gotcha. Now, we have a question. Now, we have been talking a lot about personal branding.
Yeah.
So we have a person who is looking to build their brand by putting videos on YouTube for their coaching services.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's not a bad idea, but I have to tell you, you haven't solved the whole problem by just uploading a video too. There's 3 things you have to have in mind. First of all, consistency. You cannot just have one video is in one style and then it changes to another style. It has to be incredibly consistent because it's not the same audience. And if it's the same audience, they expect you to deliver on brand. So the first thing you do, and this is important stuff, you find out what is the one word you stand for. Now, if you take Richard Branson, it's rebellious. If you take Oprah Winfrey, it's compassion. If you take Donald Trump, I don't know what that word is. No. It may be arrogance, I don't know. But what is your one word? And you have to find out what the one word is because it's going to drive the theme of those videos you're going to produce. Number 2, frequency is incredibly important. You need to have a new video at least every week, but I would say almost every day, because it makes your go up in the rankings and actually accumulates more traffic so you get a better score. So that's very important. Third, you need to do SEO, so search engine optimization, just on YouTube instead. And you do that, by the way, by tagging your videos much more than you normally would do. So all the keywords you mentioned in that video are present. There's a lot of other stuff you can do, but it's a good start. But do not expect to get traffic free of charge. You probably have to push it both using money and using a lot of contacts and partnerships with other people you team up with to create that traffic you could team up with other people who have their own YouTube videos, do interviews with them and basically lucrate on their, or leverage their traffic. A lot of work put into it, but overall, my answer is good idea.
So we have a question comes up kind of off of that.
Okay.
I just want to grab it real quick.
Yeah.
That refers to all kind of content, right? Not just YouTube, but that's for like blogging, that's for social media. It's just for all your content.
It is for all content, and I think the more I've learned about this, the more I know that I don't know a lot about it, because this is a very very fast-paced world, I have to say. Just to give you an insight, I was at BuzzFeed the other day in New York City, which is one of our partners, global partners, and I overheard 2 young kids from BuzzFeed, 16 years of age, I think they were, 17 or 18 or something, and they said in the elevator, "Oh my God, I'm so behind. I'm just struggling to follow it." And that makes me so happy. I mean, seriously, we're not lost, all of us. But yes, you're right. And what you have to do in order to use your channels is that you need to have different platforms and use different sense of purpose for each of those platforms. So, if you want to have longer, more serious articles, of course, it's LinkedIn. If you want to be more concise and more personal, you can use Facebook. If you want to be more visual, you can use Instagram. These channels take a lot of time, and you really have to be careful about not using too many channels. It's a little bit like feeding the birds in the summertime, and then it becomes winter and you go on a holiday and you forget to feed the birds, and people really get very angry at you if you're not maintaining it, because you're not maintaining your brand. Your brand sounds like it's dying when you're not updating those channels. So make sure you have very few channels, they're very targeted, and they're always on that one word we talked about, right?
And again, with all the hearts, we love you guys too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. So Elizabeth is reading through all these different questions. Elizabeth is running our social media team right now out of the US. What's the next question?
The next one is, so can you run a country like a brand?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's happening right now. In fact, I worked on a lot of countries around the world. The latest country I'm involved with now is Australia, but a country is a brand. It's just a longer brand horizons in terms of revenue of return. But just a good example about Australia. In 2000, Australia was the first country in the world to really focus on fireworks as one of the key attributes. So they created a firework, which I think cost around $4.5 million out of Sydney on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and shared those tapes free of charge with the world. And because Sydney is one of the first cities in the world to go into the new year, every TV station would show it. And here's another thing they did. They're also showing free footage, as it's called, a B-roll. That is the raw footage or materials you record. They showed that across the world, from recordings they did on the beaches across the Sydney beaches, where people had Christmas hats up on the 25th of December. So as you're sitting there in the cold north, or you're sitting in somewhere in New York City freezing to death, and you then are looking at this where people are sitting on the beach relaxing, this is the best advertising. So this is one way of driving traffic to a country. But country branding is also all about having ambassadors. That's the reason why Australia teamed up with Oprah Winfrey or with Ellen DeGeneres, which flew these people to Australia. They had shows running. All of this is country branding. Just mark my word, country branding is not a TV commercial on CNN, because I've seen so many of them, I can't remember them. It's just like beautiful photos and a logo in the end. Country branding is engaging societies and communities, and to team up with Hollywood, to team up with TV station, all that stuff is generating emotions, which drives traffic and make people proud of the country. They want to move there, they want to work with there, and they want to be ambassador for the place as well.
Awesome. We are getting short on time, but we have time for a few more questions.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to combine questions.
Yeah.
So what is the next big thing in 2016? We've gotten a lot of questions along that line. What's the next big trend, next big thing? So what is that?
Well, listen, I have the answer on print right now, It is. It's a big thing. The small data thing, of course, I fundamentally believe that this is going to be a big thing. And I'll tell you why. I've listened to big data for so many years now, and I have to be honest with you, I'm a little bit tired of going to a conference and they will mention it at least 20 times with this bingo thing. So I decided to create the counterbalance to it. I'm not saying big data is dead, not at all, but I'm saying a yin and yang is needed, a counterbalance is needed. You see, big data is all about correlation. Small data is all about the causation, the reason why. This is where you create the hypotheses, and then you can mine all those data and come up with amazing conclusions later on. But you need to start somewhere, and this is probably the starting point. And what I've decided to do is to brand emotions. I want to brand emotions in the boardroom, because today it's not respected to talk about emotions. In a boardroom meeting, people say, well, you can't base emotions on 20 interviews you've done. Yes, you can, and it's called small data. It's just a matter about how you're going to do it. Now, how you do it is really what I'm talking about here, and I fundamentally believe this is going to be the next big thing, because we need it as a counterbalance, or else we'll just end up as robots, everyone. So this is going to be one thing. The next big thing is going to be what you're doing right now. Brands will be live in the future. You'll have live streaming to every brand. It will not be a TV commercial anymore. And we'll see the start of that happening this very moment, because brands need to talk to consumers. They can't just be nice reply backs in a Facebook format. It has to be even more. So this is the next big thing. And third, I actually do think we're going to a point now where brands will become incredibly honest. It has not happened in the past so much here in the United States, but as we have the Donald Trumps of the world, which are really introducing honesty in an almost brutal way, you're going to see that it's starting to be more respected, that in fact brands have very strong opinion. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, there's no doubt about they will affect the way brands are going to be built as well. They will have an edge because people already have an edge when they talk to each other online. So I think these are the three big trends.
Okay, I just want to go back to something real quick because that is
Sure.
super important.
Yeah.
Big data is correlation.
Yeah.
Small data, causation.
That's
if you don't walk away with anything from that, guys, that's it right there.
The causation, and that is to find those seemingly insignificant observations in consumer homes. And it's everything from how you place a toothbrush, to how the painting is hanging on the wall, to how the shoes are placed. All those things, by the way, are telling a subconscious story about who you're talking with. And I tell you, it is so fascinating. I really, really hope that you will join me in that movement, because this is what human beings are all about.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
Okay.
Kids, we have run a little long. We are going to be doing this again, so we will hope to see you there. Oh, I love all those hearts. They're so pretty. So, this is from Trina. I find your concept of sleeping with the customers to be intriguing.
Yeah.
How do you decide what families to choose?
Well, Trina, just to recap for everyone else, I've done a speech for a couple of years which is called Sleeping with the Customer, which really is the idea of moving in the consumers and living with them. And I've done that now 2,000 times over the last decade, where I try to understand how do you observe people in a home without interfering in their lifestyle. What you get in return is mind-blowing, because what you get is the first-hand insight about how people really live. And not only is it interesting from a commercial point of view, it's also super fascinating from a private point of view. Now, how do you do it? You go to a recruitment company, because I don't think you can do the field recruitment. But this is interesting, Trina. As I tend to say, I went to a doctor the other day in Switzerland to have a health check, and he didn't take 6 gallons or a couple of liters of blood from me just to be sure that I was healthy. He took 2 drops, and that was it. But because there's so much science behind how you measure and analyze this blood, it's enough. But this is the case with small data and how you do those consumer insight visits. What you do is that you select very carefully those people, and you do that based on emotions. You do that saying, I would like to have a person showing that type of emotions. And you have to make sure you get people which are really sharing views of the world. But you don't need more than 20. Because 20, if you select the right ones, using a local recruitment company, or what we call a field recruiter, you actually quite often would be very lucky. And you only need, let's say, 10 amazing interviews for you to create the foundation of a brand. I do know a lot of you guys watching this are saying, that's crazy. But I have to tell you, the story I'm talking about in the book Small Data starts with the story of Lego, almost bankrupt in 2002, and today the biggest toy company in the world. And their story began with small data.
That is fantastic. Now, I know we talked about where to get small data earlier, but we have a lot of people who came on late.
Yeah.
So just real quick, it's martinlindstrom.com/small data, right?
That's right, so martinlindstrom.com/small data. And by the way, I'm right now at the convention center in Denver, where we have the biggest group of American booksellers across the world coming here to launch the book Small Data for the United States. So this is a pre-launch of my book. It is 1 month before the release, because exactly in a month from now, we're going to have a secret opening in New York City, together with another company called Jack Morton Worldwide. But I hope you'll join me tomorrow. If you are in the right time zone, you can watch me live. If you're not, you can download the video. You just have to sign up, and you do that by pre-ordering my book, sorry. But that means you get a ticket to do this. And by the way, I'll give you some more presents later on if you already pre-signed up now. So I hope to see you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much, Martin.
Thanks
Thanks, guys. Bye.